Good morning, everyone. This is what's known as the stelae of revealing. Okay, uh, originally it was the funeral stelae. It was wood and stuccoed over and painted by the deceased himself, Onkof Nakamsu, a dignitary, if you will, a priest of the princes of the 25th dynasty, we think, of ancient Egypt. In the stele, it was originally museum number 666, the Bulak Museum, in April of, or in March of 1904, when Crowley and his wife Rose visited the museum, and she identified the god that was trying to get a hold of Crowley, that had a message to Crowley, had a mission for Crowley, if you will. And the stele pictures the three principal gods of the Thelemic pantheon. Nuit, which is this let's see, there we go, the goddess of the night sky. Okay, it's interesting to know that on the inside lid of many tombs, that or many sarcophagi, or the box that the mummy laid in, had the goddess Nuit as the lid, and she had stars in her body. And she represents something extremely profound but abstract. She is infinite space, as if you tried to back up your camera and get a wide enough angle at existence itself, infinite space. She is that infinite outness. Everything is in her body. So if she was being symbolized by a circle, she would be the circumference of a circle that really isn't even limited by a circumference. And the second is Hadit. That's this winged solar disk here. And he represents another infinity, and that would be the infinite center of the infinite circumference. And if they're both, if that contracted point was everywhere, so is the circumference. So in a sense, they're always touching. Now, one of the commercials on PBS for science programs, Nova or something, the little ad, the little teaser said, "Space has no edge and no center." What they're also saying is the edge of space is infinite, and so is the center. Well, that's Nuit and Hadit. Okay, and because each are everywhere, then on some trans-dimensional reality, they're touching everywhere. This contracted positionless point and this limitless circumference everywhere. So they're always touching, and that touching is like a huge vibration, a huge in and out, a huge friction. And that's represented on the stele as that hawk-headed god there on the throne. Okay, now they're fantastic deities that should be fascinating to a modern scientific mind. Yes, I can almost wrap my meat brain around God being everything out there and everything in there at the same time. I can almost, okay, infinite outness and infinite inness touching infinitely everywhere. So that's the Thelemic pantheon. That's the gods, if you will, of the first, second, and Rahur-Kawit, the third chapter of the Book of the Law. But it's really hard, at least it's challenging, to get all warm and fuzzy and devotional about such seemingly cold abstractions. And let's face it, most religions try to get their adherents warm and fuzzy. They want them devotional. Mankind wants to, I want to pray to something that makes me feel warm and cozy. Worship Nuit and worship Hadith. And, but wow, they're really so far out there and so far in there that it's hard to trigger that devotional thing in a person. And you know you're really not supposed to. I'm reading, of course, from The Magic of Aleister Crowley. And the chapter 10 is called Thelemic Mysticism. And it starts off with a quote from the third chapter of the Book of the Law. "The other images group around me to support me. Let all be worshipped, for they shall cluster to exalt me. I am the visible object of worship. The others are secret, for the beast and the bride are they. And for the winners of the ordeal X." What is this? Thou shalt know. Okay, and this is how I introduce two rituals that I consider forms of Thelemic mysticism. They're magical, for sure, but they're mystical. Finally, we come to two extraordinary works, one of which I will read this morning, which are unique among the Class D rituals. In fact, all the rituals we've discussed so far could be considered as preparatory exercises to the high magic embodied in them. Liber Nu, that's what we'll do today, and Liber Had are the instructional papers for the invocation of the highest concepts of Thelemic cosmology, Nuit and Hadith. While these invocations are obviously magical in their execution, they are undeniably mystical in their essence, for they require that the magician not only do something, but be something. Quite simply put, to invoke Nuit, the magician must be Hadith. And to invoke Hadith, one must be Nuit. Even in the second and third chapter of the Book of the Law, the first chapter, which is associated with Nuit, starts off by going Had, the manifestation of Nuit. Chapter 2 starts off Nu, the hiding of Hadith. Okay. This is a pretty tall order, and most likely will not become the all-consuming preoccupation of most of the current inhabitants of our planet. Liber Nu and Liber Had are for the winners of the Ordeal X. Now, this is sort of a nice generic thing there. Liber Nu, subfigura 11. Now, the book is sort of chopped up. Do you see those well, let's get over here. Do you see the parenthetical sentences underneath almost every little section there, like instructions of VVVVV and first practice of meditation and first practice of intelligence and things like that. These are all very helpful, especially if you are sitting down to actually start to practice this. But to dictate or to narrate Liber Nu and Liber Had, they sort of get in the way. They interrupt the flow of what's going on. So I'm going to leave those out and trust you to get Liber Nu and Had in and look at it more carefully, or I'll do it again in another session here with us. But right now, I want you to sort of get the flavor of this ritual. This is the book of the cult of the infinite without. Okay, Liber Nu. The aspirant, that's you, is Hadit. Nuit is the infinite expansion of the rose. Hadit, the infinite contraction of the rood. That's R-O-O-D. Okay. First, let the aspirant learn in his heart the first chapter of the Book of the Law. Worship or identify with the Kabs, the secret light within the heart. Within this, again, unextended, is Hadit. Adore and understand the rim of the stelae of revealing. Above the gemmed azure, the naked splendor of Nuit, she bends in ecstasy to kiss the secret ardors of Hadit. Avoid any act of choice or of discrimination. Consider of 6 and 50 that 50 divided by 6 equals 0.12. 0, the circumference of Nuit. The point, the center, Hadit. 1, the unity preceding Rahur Kuit. 2, the world of illusion. Nuit thus comprehends all in none. Also, 50 plus 6 equals 56, equals 5 plus 6 equals 11, the key of all rituals. Also, 50 times 6 equals 300, the spirit of the child within. Okay. The result of this practice is the consciousness of the continuity of existence, the omnipresence of the body of Nuit. In other words, the aspirant is conscious only of the infinite universe as a single being. Meditate upon Nuit as the continuous one, resolved into none, and two, as the phases of her being. For the universe, being self-contained, must be capable of expression by the formula n minus n equals 0. For if not, let it be expressed by the formula n minus mp, that is, the infinite moves otherwise than within itself, which is absurd. That's a Crowley note there. But the text just reads, meditate upon Nuit as a continuous one resolved into none, and two as the phases of her being. Meditate upon the facts of samadhi on all planes, the liberation of heat in chemistry, joy in natural history, ananda in religion, then two things join to lose themselves in a third. Let the aspirant pay utmost reverence to the authority of the AA and follow its instructions, and let him swear a great oath of devotion unto Nuit. Let the aspirant be aware of the slightest exercise of his will against another being. Wow. Thus, lying is a better posture than sitting or standing, as it opposes less resistance to gravitation. Yet his first duty is to the force nearest and most potent. In other words, he may rise to greet a friend. 10. Oh, that's the next one. Let the aspirant exercise his will without the least consideration for any other being. This direction cannot be understood, much less accomplished, until the previous practice has been perfected. So we got these two things, okay, we're doing. You become aware of the slightest exercise of your will against another being. Then the next one, let the aspirant exercise his will without the least consideration. Okay. Did I say it was going to be easy? 11. Okay. Let the aspirant comprehend that these two practices are identical. Let the aspirant live the life beautiful and pleasant. For this freedom hath he won. But let each act, especially of love, be devoted wholly to his true mistress, Nuit. Let the aspirant yearn toward Nuit under the stars of night, with a love directed by his magical will, not merely proceeding from the heart. The result of this practice in the subsequent life of the aspirant is to fill him with unimaginable joys, to give him certainty concerning the nature of the phenomena called death, and to give him peace, unutterable rest, ecstasy. Let the aspirant prepare a perfume of resinous woods and gums, according to his inspiration. Let the aspirant prepare a panticle as follows. Inscribe a circle within a pentagram, and upon a ground square or of such other convenient shape as he may choose, let the circle be scarlet, the pentagram black, the ground royal blue studded with golden stars. Within the circle and at its center shall be painted a sigil that shall be revealed to the aspirant by herself, by Nuit herself. And this panticle shall serve as a talismanic image, or as an eidolon, or as a focus of the mind. Let the aspirant find a lonely place, if possible in the desert of sand, or if not, a place unfrequented and without objects to disturb the view, such as moorlands, fens, an open sea, broad rivers, open fields, and also and especially the summits of mountains. I'm going to digress for a second, because my good friend, dear friend, and brother, Bob Stein, who was not a young man at the time, still, he went to Australia and traveled to a giant crater. A crater so big that he could lay in the center of it and see around him the entire night sky uncontaminated by city lights or any form of artificial lights. And he performed this ritual as the Milky Way, or what you can see from the Milky Way from the southern hemisphere, passed over his head. It sounded so cool. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Let him invoke the goddess as he hath wisdom and understanding to do. And this wisdom and understanding, once again, is capitalized to associate it with number 2 on the tree of life, Hadith, if you will, and number 3 on the tree of life, wisdom, understanding. 2, 3, wisdom, understanding. But let this invocation be that of a pure heart, in other words, a heart wholly devoted to her, and let him remember that it is Hadith himself, in the most secret place thereof, that he invoketh. Then let this serpent, Hadith, burst into flame. Then shall the aspirant come a little to lie in her bosom. Let the aspirant stand upon the edge of a precipice, in act or imagination, and let him imagine and suffer the fear of falling. Next, let him imagine, with this aid, that the earth is falling, and he with it, or he from it. And considering the infinity of space, let him excite the fear within himself to the point of ecstasy, so that the most dreadful dream of falling that he hath ever suffered be as nothing in comparison. Thus, having understood the nature of this third indication, let him in his magic rite fall from himself into Nuit, or expand into her as his imagination may compel him. At that moment, desiring earnestly the kiss of Nuit, let him give one particle of dust. In other words, let Hadith give himself up utterly to her. Then shall he lose all in that hour. Let the aspirant prepare a love song of rapture unto the goddess, or let him be inspired by her unto this. Let the aspirant be clad in a single robe, an abai of scarlet wrought with gold is most suitable. Let the aspirant wear a rich headdress, a crown of gold adorned with sapphires or diamonds, with a royal blue cap of maintenance, or even a nemes is most suitable. Yeah. Okay. Let the aspirant wear many jewels as he may possess. Let the aspirant prepare an elixir or libation as he may have wit to do. Let the aspirant invoke, lying supine, his robe spread out as it were a carpet. Now, to summarize these, the preliminaries were, these are the necessary possessions: the crown or headdress, the jewels, the panticle, the robe, the song or incantation, a place of invocation, the perfume, the elixir. These are the necessary comprehensions, or this is what you get after those meditations. These are the necessary comprehensions: the nature of Nuit and Hadit and their relation, the mystery of the individual will. These are the meditations necessary to be accomplished: the discovery of Hadit in the aspirant and identification with him, the meditation of the continuous one, and the value of the equation n plus minus n. Number 4 was cremnophobia. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the fear of falling. Feel free to correct me. More preliminaries. These are the ethical practices to be accomplished: assertion of the Kether point of view, reverence to the order, abolition of human will, and the exercise of true will, and devotion to Nuit throughout a beautiful life. The actual rite: retire to the desert with a crown and other insignia and implements, burn perfumes, chant incantation, drink unto Nuit of the elixir, lying supine with eyes fixed on the stars, practice the sensation of falling into nothingness, being actually within the bosom of Nuit, let Hadit surrender himself. The results: expansion of consciousness into that of the infinite, loss of all, the highest mystical attainment, and true wisdom and perfect happiness. So, another more careful reading of it, including the parenthetical little comments of Crowley. These are the instructions of VVVV, or this is the first practice of intelligence, or first indication of the nature of the result. All of those are very helpful, and they're all make reference to the exact lines and quotations from the Book of the Law that would lead him to make that practice appropriate. Anyway, that's it for today. As you can see, I'm bundled up in the office today. I took my car in to get smogged. Hopefully they'll be able to do it. It's an old car. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.